Alright, hello guys, good day. This is another pre-recorded lesson discussion of the lesson oral text in the subject oral communication in context. So this is the lesson that I'm going to discuss for this pre-recorded discussion. The title is oral text. And lesson objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students can determine what oral text means and its different types, and appreciate oral text as a creative expression of a language. Alright, oral text use a combination of verbal features, such as words, dialogue, and language features, and production features, such as technical features like editing, sound effects, music, or paralanguage features like pitch, pace, tone, and volume. So, in ancient and classical times, oral text is very prominent, even up to this day. It's a combination of a verbal and non-verbal communication. The speaker or performer uses words and speech production, but it also employs gestures and expressions when conveying a story. So it also emphasizes the use of paralinguistics, since we are in modern times. Because of the advent of technologies, we can create videos and edit them, including the sound effects and any technical features that can be edited. Alright, there are three types of oral text: oral poetry, praise poetry, and storytelling. Alright, when we say oral poetry, it composed and transmitted without the aid of writing. The complex relationships between written and spoken literature in some societies can make this definition hard to maintain. Right, when we say oral poetry, it is spontaneous. Speakers are performing impromptu poetic speech. Though basically, oral poetry is a speech performance without the aid of writing. But there are other cultures that perform oral poetry with the use of writing. Right? The definition of oral poetry may differ from culture to culture. So in modern day, this is what we call spoken poetry. By the way, I'm supposed to show you 3 videos in order to show performances of the types of oral text. But since it's a pre-recorded lesson discussion, I won't show anymore or let you watch the videos in this pre-recorded discussion, but I will just post the links where you can find and watch the videos. Alright, so let's proceed. Right. Next is praise poetry. Praise poetry is a kind of oral text which expresses admiration, gives homage, and proclaims the positive attributes of someone. Praise poems can be found in many cultures, just like in Africa, wherein they serve to know the cultural heritage of African tribal youth, their ancestors, and other cultural aspects. So praise poetry, it is an expression of admiration towards a prominent person or entity. Like, you are expressing your praises and adoration to someone because of his or her positive characteristics. Okay, famous poetry or famous praise poetry in the world can be found in the Bible, which is in the book of Psalms specifically. So in the culture, in African culture, they are very prominent with praise poetry because they really pay high regard to their ancestors, and they perform praise poetry in order to express their admirations towards their ancestors. Next is storytelling. Okay, storytelling describes the social and cultural activity of sharing stories, sometimes with improvisation, theatrics, or embellishment. Every culture has its own stories or narratives, which are shared as a means of entertainment, education, cultural preservation, or instilling moral values. Crucial elements of stories and storytelling include plot, characters, and narrative point of view. So in storytelling, it also differs from one culture to another. Storytellers use different ways in order to convey stories. Like for example, in Africa, they are very particular in chanting. When they tell a story, they chant the story that they want to express. In the Philippines, we also have chantings in our tribal groups. The equivalent of chantings in other cultures, such as in Africa. So, another one, the Spanish influence, the zarzuela or theater acts. That's also a form of storytelling, right? Um, uh, Storytelling is can be done or can be performed in various ways. Like we have monologue. Um, that's what I've said that theater acts. That's these are the ways on how to tell a story or ways to in performing storytelling. All right, so that's the end of the discussion, and I'm reminding you again that you can watch sample videos through the links that I'm going to provide in our Schoology. Alright, so that concludes our discussion in oral text.